I sold my only gold chain to buy my sister's wedding dress, but she told everyone I never helped her once in my sacrifice felt. I was holding Sarah's hand at her engagement party when I decided to destroy everything. Not literally holding it, but know that moment when someone love is glowing with happiness and supposed to feel pure joy for them. I felt something else entirely. Jealousy. Bitter acidic jealousy that made my chest. My sister Sarah had always been the golden child. Perfect grades, perfect boyfriend, perfect trajectory. And here she was 24 years old, getting married to David who owned his own business and looked like he stepped out of a catalog. Meanwhile I'm 28, working dead retail, and my girlfriend Emma keeps hinting about our future while I panic about affording next month's rent. That's when I saw her across the room. Melissa, David's cousin from out of state. Long dark hair, confident smile, wearing this dress that probably cost more than my car payment. She looked at me like I was someone worth looking at. Not the brother. Not the guy who couldn't even help pay for his sister's engagement party. The flirtation started innocent. Compliments about her dress. Small talk about her job in marketing. She laughed at my jokes in a way Emma hadn't in months. When she asked if I was single, I should have mentioned Emma immediately. Instead I said, it's complicated. 3 drinks later we were exchanging numbers. 4 drinks later I was walking her to her hotel. I told it was just conversation, just helping her find her way, but when she invited me for one more drink, I knew exactly what I was doing. I thought about Emma back at our apartment, probably wondering why I wasn't answering her texts. I thought about how she'd been working double shifts to help us save money. How she'd been patient with my mood swings and financial stress. I went anyway. The next morning hit like a physical. Melissa was already gone, probably catching her flight back to wherever she came from. I sat on the hotel bed staring at my phone, seeing Emma's worried messages pile. Where are? Mom said left early. Please just tell me you're safe. I crafted lies on the drive home. Food. Crashed at my buddy Mike's place. Phone died. Each excuse felt like swallowing glass. Emma was waiting in our tiny kitchen, still in her pajamas, relief washing over her face when I walked in. She hugged me tight, and I could smell her shampoo. Feel how small and trusting she felt in my arms. This woman who'd stuck by me through job losses and anxiety and my family's subtle disapproval of her working class background. I was so worried. She whispered into my chest. I held her and felt nothing but hollow shame. But the real came 3 weeks later at Sunday dinner. Sarah was showing Mom her wedding dress ideas on her laptop, and they were gorgeous. $3,000, gorgeous. Sarah's face fell with each price tag. I just never imagined dresses would be this expensive, she said quietly. David's already paying for so much. Mom made that clicking noise with her tongue. Well, maybe something simpler would be more appropriate anyway. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. My perfect sister who never asked for anything, who'd earned a full scholarship to college, who'd never caused our parents a moment of trouble. She deserved that dress. She deserved to feel beautiful on her wedding day. I've got it, I heard say. Everyone looked at me. Sarah, Mom, Dad. Like I'd announced I was flying to Mars. The dress, I continued. Whatever one want. I'll pay for it. Sarah's eyes went wide. Tommy, don't have to. Or my sister. Deserved to feel like a princess. What I didn't tell them was that I had nothing to give. My savings account at $43. My credit cards were maxed. But I had one thing of value. The gold chain my grandfather left me. The only piece of real jewelry I'd ever owned, worth about $2,000 according to the pawn shop guy I'd asked last year during a particularly tight month. I sold it the next day. The pawn shop owner barely looked when I slid it across the counter. $1,800 cash, he said like he was doing me a favor. I wanted to argue to explain it was worth more, but I needed that money. Sarah had found her dream dress, ivory silk with delicate beading, exactly $1,800. I transferred the money to her account that afternoon with a simple text, for the dress, love sis. She called me crying. Happy tears, grateful tears. Tommy, I can't believe did this. We're the best brother in the world. For the first time since that hotel room I felt something other than shame, like maybe I could balance the scales. Maybe this one good deed could offset the terrible thing I'd done. I never told Emma about selling the chain. When she asked where it was, I said I was getting it cleaned. Then I said the jewelry shop was backed. Eventually, I stopped wearing anything around my neck and hoped she'd forget. The guilt about Melissa ate at me daily. I'd catch Emma humming while she cooked dinner, or see her smile when I walked in from work, and the weight of what I'd done felt crushing. I thought about confessing 100 times, but Sarah's wedding was approaching and Emma was excited about it, had bought a new dress and everything. I told I'd figure it out after the wedding. I'd find the right moment, the right words. I should have known better. At family gatherings, I noticed the small things. How Sarah would thank everyone else for their help with wedding planning but barely mention my contribution. How she'd gush about Mom helping with invitations, Dad walking her down the aisle, David's parents hosting the rehearsal dinner. When relatives asked about wedding expenses, she'd talk about David's and Jeving's, everyone's contributions. Everyone except mine. What about Tommy? Aunt Linda asked once. I'm sure he's helped out. Sarah paused just for a second. Oh no, Tommy, he's sweet, but he's got his own financial situation to worry about. The words it like my own financial situation. Like I was some charity case who couldn't even help his own sister. I tried to bring it once gently. Sarah, no the dress. Alright, thank for that, she said quickly, then immediately changed the subject to centerpieces. Thank for that, like I'd picked her dry cleaning. The pattern continued through the shower, the bachelor party, every family event. Sarah painted a picture of a wedding funded by everyone's love and support. Everyone except her brother has sold his grandfather's chain and apparently didn't matter enough to mention. I started withdrawing from Emma. The guilt over Melissa mixed with resentment over Sarah created this cocktail in my chest. Emma would try to talk to me about the wedding, about our own future, and I'd snap at her or go silent. She'd ask what was wrong, and I'd say nothing because how could I explain any of it? The night before the wedding, Emma found me sitting on our couch staring at nothing. Tommy, please talk to me. I've been different for weeks. I'm scared I'm losing. I looked at this woman who loved me despite everything, who was willing to build it with someone who worked retail and lived paycheck to paycheck, and I felt the weight of every lie I'd told crushing down on me. But instead of confessing, instead of telling her about Melissa or the chain, or how I felt watching my own sister erase my existence, I said the cruelest thing possible. Maybe you're losing me, maybe that's for the best. Emma's face crumpled. She went to bed crying, and I slept on the couch, staring at the ceiling and wondering how I'd become someone who everyone who loved me. The wedding was beautiful. Sarah looked radiant in her $1,800 dress. During her speech, she thanked everyone who'd made the day possible. Her parents, David's parents, her bridesmaids, her wedding planner, the florist, the caterer. She never mentioned my name once. I sat there in my rented tux, watching my sister glow with happiness, and realized I'd sold the last valuable thing my grandfather left me for someone who didn't even consider it worth remembering. The breaking point came at the wedding reception. I was nursing my third, watching Sarah dance with Dad, when Melissa appeared beside me at the bar. I'd managed to avoid her all day, but there she was, looking effortlessly beautiful and completely unbothered by what had happened between us. Tommy, right, Sarah's brother. She smiled like we'd never met before. My stomach dropped. Yeah, we met at the engagement party. Oh right, we're so sweet, helping me find my hotel that night. She ordered a cocktail, then looked at me with those same confident eyes that had destroyed my, I hope don't mind me saying, look miserable. Everything okay? The casual way she said it, like our night together was just a friendly favor, made something snap inside me. Here was this woman who didn't even remember ruining my relationship, talking to me like I was a stranger while my girlfriend sat at our table wondering why I'd been pulling away for months. Actually no. Nothing's okay. The words came out louder than I intended, but I guess that doesn't matter to anyone here. Melissa raised an eyebrow. Well okay, sorry for asking. She walked away, probably thinking I was some unstable guy she dodged a bullet with. Which maybe I was. Emma appeared beside me moments later. Who was that? Nobody important. Another Lee. They came so easily now. Tommy, you're scaring me. I've been acting like a different person for months. Please just talk to me. I looked at Emma, really looked at her. She'd done her hair special for the wedding, worn the dress she'd been excited about for weeks. She was trying so hard to connect with me, to understand why the man she loved had become a stranger. Not here, I said. We'll talk at home. But we never made it home together. The reception was winding down when Sarah found me outside, getting air and trying to work the courage to tell Emma everything. My sister looked radiant, still glowing from her perfect day. Tommy, I wanted to thank for everything today. Everything. I couldn't keep the bitterness out of my voice. What exactly am I being thanked for? Sarah looked confused. For being here. For being a good brother. A good brother. I laughed, and it sounded even to me. Right, the kind of good brother who doesn't help with anything important. What are talking about? I've been weird all day. Dress, Sarah. Beautiful, perfect wedding dress. Where do you think that came from? She looked genuinely puzzled. I saved for it, and David helped. I bought the dress. I sold Grandpa's chain to pay for it. $1,800. The only valuable thing I owned. Sarah's face went white. Tommy, I thought David's parents. No, Sarah. It was me. Broke, useless brother who apparently doesn't matter enough to mention in speech or remember when people ask who helped with wedding. The words hung in the air between us. Sarah's mouth opened and closed like she was trying to find something to say. I didn't know, she whispered. I thought, Mom said David's family was handling the dress. Mom doesn't know. Nobody knows, because I didn't want to feel guilty about taking money from brother. Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but I was too angry, to stop, to know what it's like to sacrifice everything for someone and then watch them pretend don't exist. To sit in that church listening to thank everyone except the person who sold his grandfather's legacy so could feel beautiful. Tommy, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. If I'd known, would have what? Actually acknowledged that I contributed something. Or would have just found a way to give David's family credit for that too. It was cruel and unfair, and I knew it even as the words left my mouth. But months of resentment and guilt had poisoned everything inside me. Sarah was crying now, her perfect makeup running. I never meant to. I swear I didn't know about the chain. But knew I was struggling, knew I couldn't afford to help much, and when someone asked if I'd contributed, made sure everyone understood how pathetic my situation was. Emma appeared in the doorway behind us. Tommy, what's going on? Perfect. My girlfriend witnessing me destroy my relationship with my sister on her wedding day. Could this get any worse? Nothing, I said. Just family stuff. But Sarah was still crying and Emma wasn't. She came over, putting a gentle hand on Sarah's shoulder. Sarah, are okay? I messed. Sarah sobbed. I didn't know Tommy bought my dress. I thought, I've been terrible. Emma's head whipped around to look at me. Bought Sarah's dress. With what money? The question I'd been dreading for months. The lie I'd been living with every day. I sold something. I sold what? We don't have anything valuable. Emma's voice was rising. Tommy, we've been scraping by for months. I've been working extra shifts so we can save money. What did sell? Grandpa's chain. The silence stretched between us. Emma's face went through a dozen emotions: confusion, betrayal, anger. The chain said was being cleaned. The one been lying about for months. Emma, I can explain. Sold grandfather's chain and didn't tell me. We're supposed to be partners, Tommy. We're supposed to share these decisions. Sarah stepped forward. Emma, this is my fault. No, Emma said firmly, her eyes never leaving mine. This is about Tommy lying to me for months. About money, about the chain, about why he's been pulling away from me. She was right, of course, but standing there with both of them looking at me like I was a stranger, I felt cornered. Defensive. Like everyone was me when all I'd done was try to help my sister. I was trying to do something good. I said, I was trying to help my family. But lying to the woman to love. Emma's voice cracked. By selling something precious without even discussing it. By making me think I was going crazy because of being so distant and angry. Don't understand. Then explain it to me. Right now. No more lies. I looked at Emma, then at Sarah, then back at Emma. This was my chance. I could tell them about Melissa, about that had been eating me alive, about how I'd felt watching Sarah erase my contribution. I could finally be honest. Instead, I said the stupidest thing possible. Maybe I didn't tell because I knew'd react like this. Maybe I didn't want to deal with the drama. Emma stepped back like I'd slapped her. Drama. Tommy, I've been patient with for months. I've tried to understand why I've been pulling away. I've blamed, wondered if I did something wrong, and call my concern about our relationship drama. That's not what I meant. No, I think that's exactly what meant. Emma's voice was getting stronger, more resolved. Think so little of me that rather lie for months than trust me with the truth. Think I'm just some dramatic girlfriend who can't handle real problems. Sarah was still crying but quietly now, watching our relationship implode on her wedding day. Emma please. Let's just go home and talk about this properly. Home, Emma laughed. But there was no humor in it. Mean the apartment where been lying to me every single day. Where been treating me like I'm some burden have to manage instead of the person who loves. She pulled off her promise ring, the simple band I'd given her 2 years ago, when we'd talked about getting engaged someday. She held into this anymore, Tommy. I can't be with someone who thinks I'm not worth the truth. I stared at the ring, not taking it. Or breaking with me. Here. At my sister's wedding. Broke with us months ago. Emma said quietly. Just didn't bother to tell me. She set the ring on the table beside us and walked back into the reception. I watched her go, knowing I should follow her, should for us, should tell her everything and beg for forgiveness. Instead, I stood there like a coward. Sarah was still crying. Tommy, I'm so sorry. I'll tell everyone about the dress. I'll make sure they know what did. It's too late for that, I said. And it won't bring Emma back. Maybe if go after her now, if tell her everything. But I couldn't move. The weight of all my lies, all my resentment, all my guilt had turned me into stone. I watched through the window as Emma called a cab, as she gathered her purse and jacket as she left without looking back. My sister's perfect wedding day ruined. My relationship destroyed. My family fractured. All because I'd cheated with a woman who barely remembered my name. Then spent months punishing everyone else for the guilt I couldn't live with. Emma moved out while I was at work. I came home 3 days after the wedding to find half our apartment empty. Her clothes gone from our closet, her books missing from the shelves. The little succulent she'd been nursing back to health, gone from the windowsill. She'd even taken the coffee maker we'd bought together, leaving me with instant coffee and the echo of my own footsteps. There was a note on the kitchen counter, short and devastating. Tommy, I can't keep waiting for it to decide I'm worth the truth. I'm staying with my sister until I find my own place. Don't contact me unless you're ready to be completely honest about everything. And I mean everything. She knew. Somehow, she knew there was more. I called in sick for the next 2 days and didn't leave the apartment. I ordered pizza and sat in the silence, finally understanding what loneliness actually felt like. It wasn't just being alone, it was knowing deserved to be alone. Sarah tried calling. I didn't answer. She came by with Mom on Thursday evening, but I pretended I wasn't home. Through the peephole I watched my mother's face, saw the worry lines that had appeared since the wedding. Sarah looked like she hadn't slept in days. Tommy please. Sarah called through the door. I told everyone about the dress. I told them what did. I'm trying to fix this. Too little too late. The damage was already done. Work became my only escape, but even that turned. Word had gotten around about Emma leaving me. People whispered in the break room. My manager Janet pulled me aside after I snapped at a customer over nothing. Tommy, I don't know what's going on at home, but need to figure it out fast. Or barely functional here. She was right. I was making mistakes, showing late, treating customers like they were personally responsible for my misery, but I couldn't seem to care about anything anymore. The worst part was the social media I inflicted on Emma had changed her relationship status to single. Changed it back to nothing. Then deleted it entirely. I refreshed her Instagram obsessively, watching her post pictures of herself looking happy with friends, going to movies, living her without me. She looked free. Meanwhile, Sarah posted a long Instagram story about the wedding, specifically thanking me for my incredible generosity in buying her dress. She tagged me, made sure everyone could see it. The Kami's such a good brother. How sweet. Or so lucky to have family like that. But it felt hollow, performative, like she was trying to fix something that was already broken beyond repair. 2 weeks after Emma left, I ran into her at the grocery store. She was in the cereal aisle, looking at granola bars, and for a moment she looked exactly like the woman I'd fallen in love with 3 years ago. Soft and kind and completely out of my league. Hi, I said, because I'm in. She turned, and I saw the exact moment her face closed off, the walls going in real time. How are? Question. She looked tired. There were dark circles under her eyes. I'm fine. She went back to studying granola bars like they held the secrets of the universe. Emma, I need to tell something about why I've been so distant. There's something I never said. She looked then, and for a second I saw hope flicker in her eyes. Like maybe I was finally going to be the person she'd needed me to be. I cheated on. The words came out flat, clinical. Not at all how I'd planned to say them during the hundreds of imaginary conversations I'd had over the past 2 weeks. Emma's face went completely blank. Then she laughed, actually laughed. Of course did. Emma, it was one night. Right after Sarah's engagement party. I was in an stop. She held her hand. Just stop. I need to understand why I've been pulling away. The guilt was eating me alive. The guilt. Emma shook her head. Not remorse. Not love for me. Guilt. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what meant. She put the granola bars in her cart. Know what the funny thing is? I kept thinking there was someone else. The way'd check phone, the way'd go quiet when I tried to talk about our future. But then I'd tell I was being paranoid. That loved me too much to do that. Each word was a I do love. No Tommy. Love the idea of me. Love having someone who believes in and supports and doesn't ask too many questions. But don't actually love me enough to be honest with me. Don't love me enough to think I deserve the truth. That's not true. When? She asked. When did it happen? Emma, does it really matter? When, Tommy? The night of the engagement party. I watched her do the math. The timeline. The morning I came home with my elaborate lies about food and dead phone batteries. Came home and held me. She said quietly. Let me worry about all night, and then came home and held me while smelled like her. I had no answer for that. Who was it? It doesn't matter. It matters to me. David's cousin. Melissa. Emma nodded like she was checking items off a list. The woman at the bar. The one said was nobody important. She isn't important. It didn't mean anything. Why did do it? The question I'd been asking for months. I don't know. Yes, do. Just don't want to say it. She was right. I did know. I cheated because I felt small and she made me feel important for one night. I cheated because I was jealous of my sister's perfect and wanted something that felt like it belonged to me. I cheated because I'm selfish and weak and I convinced I deserved something good even if it meant destroying everything real I had. I felt invisible. I said fondly. At the party in my, everywhere. And she made me feel like I mattered. And I didn't. But I knew too well. I knew we're struggling and scared and not as successful as wanted to be, and that felt like judgment instead of love. She understood me better than I understood. Emma, I know I don't deserve it, but is there any chance? No, the word was final. Absolute. There's no chance, Tommy. Not because of the cheating though that's bad enough, but because of what came after. Spent months punishing me for guilt. Made me feel crazy. Made me question everything about our relationship. Made me think I wasn't enough for. And even when I begged to tell me what was wrong, chose to protect own comfort over my sanity. She started walking away, then turned back. For what it's worth, I'm glad Sarah knows about the dress now. What did for her was beautiful. But beautiful gestures don't erase truths. I watched her disappear around the corner, taking the last piece of my old with her. The next few months blurred together. I lost my job after showing one too many times. Had to move back in with my parents at 28 years old. Dad was kind about it, but I could see the disappointment in his eyes. Mom tried to mother me back to health, bringing me sandwiches and asking if I wanted to talk. I didn't. Sarah got back from her honeymoon and tried to rebuild our relationship. She'd text me articles she thought I'd like, invite me to dinner. Show at mom and dad's when she knew I'd be there. But something fundamental had broken between us. Not because of the dress or the wedding speech, because I'd shown her who I really was when I felt cornered, and we both knew it. The isolation was complete. No girlfriend. No job. No friends who wanted to deal with my energy. Just me in my parents' basement and the constant loop of self-hatred playing in my head. I started seeing a therapist after mom to kick me out if I didn't get help. Dr. Martinez was patient and kind and completely unwilling to let me off the hook, or telling me this story like things happened to. She said during our 4th session. Like we're a victim of circumstances. But every major decision in this story was yours. I know that, do, because keep talking about feeling invisible, feeling unappreciated, feeling guilty. But don't talk about choosing to betray Emma's trust, choosing to lie for months, choosing to take self-hatred out on the people who loved. She was right. I'd been so focused on how everything felt that I'd forgotten I was the one making it feel that way. The hardest thing about therapy, Dirk, Martinez continued, is accepting that you're not broken, or not a victim of own emotions, or a person who made choices and those choices had consequences. The good news is that means can make different choices going forward. But what if it was too late for different choices to matter? I found out Emma was dating someone new through Facebook, a guy named Marcus who worked in her office building. He looked kind, stable, the type of guy who wouldn't cheat on her and then spend months making her feel crazy about it. In their photos together, she looked happy. Really happy, not the performance of happiness I'd gotten used to near the end of our relationship. Genuine joy. I was happy for her. And I hated that I was happy for her because it meant accepting that she was better off without me. Sarah had a baby. A little girl named Grace. When she called to tell me, I could hear the happiness in her voice, but also the careful distance. Like she wasn't sure if I was safe to be around her new family. I'd love for to meet her, she said. When ready. When I was ready. Not when she was ready. When I was. I realized then that everyone in my was waiting for me to become someone worth knowing again. My parents walking on eggshells around my mood swings. Sarah offering love but protecting herself. Even Dr. Martinez patiently helping me untangle the mess I'd made while knowing she couldn't fix me. I had to fix. But here's the thing about rock bottom, it doesn't come with a manual for climbing back. I got a job at a different retail store across town. Started paying my parents' rent. Stopped drinking. Kept going to therapy. Small steps toward becoming someone who could live with himself. But late at night, lying in my childhood bedroom, I'd think about that gold chain. About my grandfather, who'd worked 2 jobs his whole to provide for his family and never complained once. About the weight of it around my neck, solid and real in mine. About how I traded it for a moment of feeling important, then destroyed that importance with my own bitterness. I'd think about Emma, who'd loved me when I was nothing special, and asked for nothing in return except honesty. Who'd worked extra shifts to help us save money while I was sneaking around with another woman. I'd think about Sarah, glowing in her $1,800 dress, never knowing that her brother had sold his inheritance to make her dream come true, then hated her for not reading his mind about it. And I'd realized that the real tragedy wasn't losing Emma or estranging my sister or even selling the chain. The real tragedy was that I'd had everything I'd ever wanted, and I'd destroyed it because I couldn't believe I deserved it.